Welcome back to the Empowered Learning Podcast, where we explore conversations that challenge us to grow, lead, and live with intention. Today, I'm joined by Monique Alvarez, a business consultant, publisher, and founder of AMA Publishing. Monique has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs across more than 40 countries, championing over 1,200 stories and helping leaders step into greater clarity, confidence, and impact. But this conversation goes deeper than business. Together, Monique and I unpack what real growth actually requires, from quieting the ego and embracing discomfort to evaluating the habits, environments, and mindsets that shape who we are becoming. If you're in a season of reflection, transition, or growth, this episode is for you. Hi, Monique. How are you today?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Doing very, very good. So thank you for spending a little bit of time with me. This is kind of a full circle moment, right? We're both small town folks here doing big, wonderful things, hopefully in the world and making a difference. And it's kind of fun to talk to a fellow Cortesian. Most people, when they ask like, "Hey, where are you from?" I'm like, "Well, do you know Durango?" Right? We
Exactly.
don't jump to straight to Cortez because people are like, "Where's that at? New Mexico? Whatever." So, anyways,
Yep.
it's Yep, it's super, super nice to see you again. And I'm looking forward to our conversation. I know that we had coffee a while ago and kind of dug in a little bit, but everybody wasn't privy to that. So I get to just share all the wonderful work that you've been doing and kind of the fun, exciting things you got coming up. So looking forward to it.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
You bet, you bet. So let's dive right in here. We mentioned the small town connection here. So you've gone from, small town USA to just being featured internationally all over the place, which is, just kudos to you. Again, we're going to dive into that in a little bit, but there's some mindset shifts that have to happen, I would imagine, along the way. So tell me what mindset shift that you had that helped you to kind of start thinking of playing a bigger game. Would love to
Mm.
hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you are born and raised in a small town, it's so easy to think that this is all there is.
Yes.
Or when you make it here, you've made it. It's
hmm
really
hmm
easy to become content with being a big fish in a small pond.
Yes.
Yeah, that's comfortable. That's
Right.
fun. It's exciting to be a big fish in a small pond. And if you go to a big pond, you're going to be a nobody, at least for a while.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. I would say there were steps to this, most definitely. The
Okay.
first step is when I moved overseas by myself and I was a
Okay.
volunteer in my 20s.
Okay.
I had to see that the world was bigger than my world.
hmm
I also had to learn how to become resourceful, how to make
Mm.
connections, how to
Okay.
solve problems. I had to figure out how to stand on my own 2 feet and realize, Monique, you have a lot within you that you've never had to tap into because you grew
Yeah.
up in a small town, you've been surrounded by family, friends, community who've always known
Right.
you,
Yep.
right? And I think I don't know, I'd be curious what you have to say about this, but being a female, I found that everybody bailed me out and took care of me and sort of,
Mm.
they coddled me.
Yeah. Right.
I didn't have any grit in me, to tell you the truth. I had never
Interesting.
sunk my teeth into life. And so that
Yeah.
was stage one.
Sure.
Yeah. Starting the business was stage two. Starting a business,
Okay.
you have to grow. You
Right.
just realize, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to learn skill sets. I'm gonna have to grow. I'm going to have to think about the problems I solve, how much I'm charging for. I have to figure out how to take care of people, have to figure out how to hire people. I got to manage people, all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a key moment, and it was when I had my boys. So I had
Okay.
my sons 12 months apart. Okay. So
Okay.
that alone is like, baptism by fire, right?
Right.
And as soon as I had the boys, I realized, well, I guess it inspired me to think bigger. What kind of life do I want for them? What kind of business do I want so that it provides this life?
Right.
And the first thing I knew I wanted to do is I wanted them to travel like I had. And so
Okay.
when we left the US, I had to think differently because I couldn't walk into a chamber or a BNI breakfast and
Mm-hmm.
meet people face to face and leave with a check. Like those were the days that I started, right?
Sure.
I had to figure this internet, this screen out. I had to figure out how to
Mhm.
translate this into that. And I was invited into a big Facebook group for traveling families. And little did
Okay.
I know that that would become the catalyst. So
Interesting.
I met a woman and she was a travel lover and all the things. And she was living in Australia. And so then I had to figure out what time is it in Australia if it's this time for me. And
Right.
we started talking. She became a client. And then she said, why don't you have clients all over the world? Like you're online.
Right.
And so I said, oh my goodness, so smart. Like, how do I do
Right.
that?
Right.
How do
Sure.
we do this? And she was like, well, there's a lot of Facebook groups.
Mm-hmm.
You could join a Facebook group with a Australian admin or a European admin, and
Mm-hmm.
that will naturally attract a lot of people from those
Okay.
regions.
Right.
So I did. I took her advice and I joined an Australian group, Australian admin. It was pretty much all Australians. And there was this thing you could, like, if you did certain things, then the
Mhm.
admin would let you go live once a week.
Okay.
So I jumped through her hoops and I went live every single week like clockwork. And I figured
Mm-hmm.
out, oh, they're awake at this time. So I would go live when they were awake.
Mm-hmm.
And I got over 60 clients from that group
Wow.
immediately.
Wow.
And that changed my whole life and my whole
Yeah.
business.
That's incredible.
So, in order to shift to a bigger game, number one, you have to want it because not everybody
Mm-hmm.
wants it, right?
Yes.
There's
Right.
people are happy with different things and there's nothing wrong with that. Um, I wasn't one of those people. I knew what I wanted and once I got bigger and more, I wanted more.
Mm-hmm.
And what I find is, just like this lady, I found one person who thought in that direction and I
Yeah.
spent time with her because she
Mm-hmm.
understood how to get there. So
Right.
that was the key for me is every time I figured out I want that, I found
Mm-hmm.
one person who already had
Mm-hmm.
that.
Right. Yeah, I love it. Find people that have been successful in that and then just kind of follow suit. It's kind of the sorry, my mind doesn't work very well with trying to do two things at once. Um, kind of one of those things like why reinvent the wheel, right? There's other people that have been successful in this area. How can I learn from them? How can I leverage them? Not in a negative way, but how can I do what they're doing just in my space and learn along the way? I mean, I think a lot of people, I'm sure I'm guilty of this, of you tend to try to recreate the wheel. It's like the wheel has been created. Just find people that are successful in what you want to do and learn from them and then grow and then just take the next lesson and take the next lesson. Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Becoming a student of people who've done what you want to do,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah. Nope. I love that. I couldn't say it better myself. Love it. Very good. Well, there we go. Now we've got just a picture into kind of the fun aspects that you've done and worked on and different things like this. So let's backtrack a little bit. Obviously, we've talked about kind of humble, maybe not even humble beginnings, but just kind of a pretty unassuming little town, small town America. Tell us, I guess, from when did you feel that calling of like there's bigger things out there, and I know that what I'm called to do in this world and my time here on this world is going to be much larger than just local. So where did that begin? And kind of tell us a little bit about that journey.
Mm. Yeah, it was an internal battle, to be
Okay.
honest. I remember as a teenager having this sense that I wasn't going to stay here. And
Right.
that was met with a combination of excitement and
Mm,
fear and also
right.
guilt, right? Because all
Okay.
of my family has been here, both sides, for five
Hmm.
generations.
Wow.
There's plenty of family businesses that I could have stepped into.
Sure.
I could have become an employee at any of those businesses, maybe one day taking them over. But I didn't feel like that was my path. And the
Hmm.
biggest thing I was aware of, and this really was an anchor for me for years. At,
Okay.
at 16 years old, I was completely certain I was not supposed to marry anyone from this small town. And
Hmm.
as you know, this is a big thing because
Right.
when you're from a small town, your family knows all the families, you have neighbors, you have fellow people that maybe your parents and their friends. And I just knew this one thing: don't get caught here. Don't get
Mm-hmm.
caught here. Yeah.
Hmm.
And the bravest thing I ever did was leaving and moving overseas because I was young. I had no track record. I had never done it. I didn't even know if I could do it, much less convincing everybody else that I could do it, right? I
Right.
mean,
Right.
there were many times I was like, yeah, of course I can do this. And I'd go to my room and cry and be like, I don't know if I could do this,
Yeah.
And, you know, moving overseas it put me in this position where I had to figure it out. I was 6,000 miles away from anyone. And at that
Wow.
time, when I moved to Albania, there was no phones, there was not internet. I was shut off from the rest of the world. Okay. And so that was my greatest blessing
Yeah.
because I had to figure out who I was outside of my people.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah.
That was my make or break moment right there.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
spent 3 years in Albania. I was in Myanmar. I went on to go to Kenya. And had I not had that time overseas, I would not be who I am today. Plain and simple.
That's crazy. Do you, and I'm sure you've heard this, I guess it's a story or just kind of an alliteration, just the idea of burning the ships. I mean, does that kind of what it felt like,
Yes.
right? Like,
Oh, big.
there's no going back at this point. I'm here, I'm cut off, like it's either make or break. I mean, is that kind of what it felt like?
It did. It definitely felt
Hmm.
that way. And there was this sense of, I was a straight A student. I was the good girl. I was all of those things, right? And
Hmm.
and yet, like when it came to life, I had not achieved anything. I had not
Yeah,
accomplished anything.
sure.
Nothing, right? And so there was this part of me that wanted to show them I could do it. But
Hmm.
bigger, what grew by the day is I wanted to figure out if I could do it.
Yeah, right.
I
Sure.
I needed to know what I was made of. And oh man, there was so many unique challenges, right? That the they're not even they don't even exist in the US, right? I
Mhm.
remember the first time where I was living, so we didn't have water all the time, right? So
Okay.
the government would turn the water on for a few hours some days, right? There was no, so what you would do is you'd leave the water faucet on or the tub on, right?
Okay.
So then you could hear it day or night, it would wake you
Yeah.
up. Or you'd sleep with the light switch on so that when the electricity come on, you would know it. And I remember the first time we went 30 days with no running water, and I remember thinking like, okay, you know what? I'm going to turn this into a game. I collected these water bottles. I filled them up.
Hmm.
I like would find little spigots and weird things all over town, and I'd put them in my window, and I'd let the
Hmm.
sun heat it up, and I figured out how to take, a bath with a gallon of water, and
Hmm.
just figured things out. And
Hmm.
at the time, it was about water, but what I realized is it was about learning how to make it work no matter what the
Hmm.
circumstance. And in business, there's so many,
Hmm.
ups and downs and twists and
Right.
turns, and like that all comes in handy now. Like,
Right.
what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? Even when you feel like so much is out of your control, figuring out what is in my control
Right.
and doubling down on that.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Wow. I mean, and I'm sure yet another one of the, thousands of lessons that you learned along the way is that us Americans have no idea what the rest of the world just deals with on the regular. And I think it's one of those things like a seeing is believing. Like you could tell people, you can hear stories, but to your point, until you've lived that, there's no replacing it. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. When I came back to the US, I walked into Safeway and I went down the cereal aisle. I don't remember what I had went for, and I just froze and I was completely overcome with emotion
Mm. Wow.
because for sure, the first year when I was in Albania, like food was not always a guarantee. I would go to like a
Hmm.
little market and sometimes there'd be food, sometimes there wouldn't be food. I can't tell
Mm.
you how many days I ate a piece of bread. That was it. That was all I had that day, right?
No.
Having one egg was a treat.
Yeah.
Never had meat.
Mm.
And I got excited. Like the big win when I was
Hmm.
that first year is when I'd walk in that market and they'd have a square of Philadelphia cream cheese that was expired. It was like Christmas. And there were years. I mean, to be honest, I still do it. Okay, so this has
Hmm.
been 27 years ago.
Okay.
I have certain cupboards that I keep certain food in, and I don't need to eat it, but I just need to see it there because that first year, there
Mm.
were many times I didn't have any food in my cupboard.
Yeah.
And realizing that, like you said, there's a lot of people, this is how they live every single day. There's not a
Mhm.
guarantee of electricity, running water, and food. Those are just, we might or we might not today.
Right. Right. Wow. That I can't imagine that does not just to your point, shape and change the person that you are. And I would think like as a parent, right? That changes how you parent and that changes how you see business and how you, I mean, wow, what a cool thing. And kudos to you for, diving in early on. I think a lot of people, maybe wait, which I want to shift into like your work with entrepreneurs and kind of helping them find their voice and this kind of stuff. But I'm sure that you find this very often is that people wait, you know, till the, back half of their life before they're doing these scary things that had they done them earlier, man, the trajectory of your life and just the limiting beliefs that you have, just get rid of those, right? I mean, you are capable of so many more things than you realize, but if you don't find that out until you're 50, 60 years old, like how much life could you have lived?
It's true. I think human nature, we will gravitate toward comfort every single
Mhm.
time. I mean,
Yep.
we just will. There's so much that we feel like we can lose. There's so much at
Mhm.
stake. There's so,
Right.
and we feel it for ourselves, and then we feel other people's pressure. You got to follow a certain track and you got to do a certain thing, and that's not smart and that's
Yeah.
risky and all of that. And there's like two tracks of dumb. Okay, so I say this all the time. I used to tell my husband we got to do more stupid things.
Okay.
Okay, now I have a very logical, smart husband. That's
Mhm.
really his biggest fault is he's so smart, right?
Right.
So this became a difficult sale in the beginning of our marriage. And
Mhm.
when I say that, like some people they'll do dumb things like, they'll party every weekend and they get drunk
Mhm.
and they gamble their money. And then
Mhm.
there's dumb things that are really worth it, like
Mhm.
absolutely going against the status quo, taking
Mhm.
the leap when you have no idea if you can do it. And this is
Right.
what we tend to do. We tend to do things that we feel like we could do.
Right. Yep. Yep.
And that's what actually stunts our growth.
Hmm. Yeah. I completely agree. Do we, it is human nature to kind of stick in that, what we know, I mean, I think it's Steve Harvey talks about, the being on the edge of life and having to jump, right? It's like having all of these wonderful plans and wonderful things that you can see down the road. None of that, none of that transpires, none of that happens if you don't take the leap. And how many people are on the edge of their destiny and not willing to leap because it's unknown, because of the, and I am so guilty of this. The logic starts playing out like, oh, well, this, that, and I mean, we're canceling out all of these future potential dreams because we logic it to death.
Oh yeah. If you think about it too hard, you won't do anything.
Hmm. Hmm.
And that's the thing is if you don't embarrass yourself on a regular basis, if you don't fall short of what you were aiming for, if you don't feel like, oh my gosh, what was I thinking? Then
Right.
we're not on that edge. I
Hmm.
mean, you'll see this in business. I
Hmm.
throw out so many offers and most of them don't sell. But
Yeah.
the ones who do, they sell big, right?
Hmm.
But it's like I force myself to stay in that action
Hmm.
because the planning, it's wonderful, right? It feels so good. We have these beautiful little notebooks full of ideas, but
Hmm.
that isn't where stuff happens. And it's definitely not where I figure out what didn't work and how to get better.
Yeah.
It's just it's great theory. It's
Yeah.
all good in theory.
Right, right. I love it. Wow, man, I think we could probably do a couple hours on this one. So I'm going to try to key on a couple really important things that I think that you would want to share with the folks if this is our only time talking. So, you have helped to champion over 1,200 entrepreneurial stories, which I think is just so cool. Um, in those conversations, and I'm sure you have many that just pop to your mind as I mention this, what do most people misunderstand about telling their stories? What is that the ones
Mhm.
that you constantly run into? It's like, oh, it's not that, it's this, right? What do you run into most when you're encouraging people to kind of write their own story?
They think they need to be a writer.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah,
Right? So we all kind of have this 11th grade English teacher in our head who was like, "You're not a good writer, and your grammar and your punctuation and your spelling." Like I can every post I do on social media has a typo and a grammatical error and all the things, right?
yeah.
You don't have to be a writer to share your story. This isn't
All right,
about like, oh, we're writing a paper, we're writing a dissertation. No,
right.
really telling your story and storytelling in business, especially, it's about conveying lessons, it's conveying emotions.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. I love that.
Yeah. And when you're a good writer and you're still in that mindset of like you're going to get graded on it,
Yep.
you don't allow yourself to go there. Right.
Uh-huh.
And most successful entrepreneurs, they're the straight A student. They're the one who like they still like they're pretty critical on themselves, if
Oh
we're
yeah.
honest, right?
Oh yeah.
That's why they're always pushing.
Mm-hmm.
So it takes this moment of like, okay, this isn't for a grade. This is heart. At a heart level,
Hmm.
what would I want to say? What would I
Right.
want to share?
Yeah. No, I love that. No, I'm again, we've established that I'm kind of analytical. I actually have a coach that I'm working with right now that, encourages me to go with your intuitive spirit. I think, and we could go into the spiritual realm, which I'm not sure we necessarily need to, but this idea of like our ego or our analytical side is going to kill any of your future dreams because you can rationalize anything out of rationalize yourself out of taking any action on any given day, right? So pushing past that, getting to what is the emotion, what is the story that you're wanting to tell, regardless of whether it's perfect or not. Another person that I talked to just recently talks about Gary Vaynerchuk. His big thing is that in 2026, people are looking for the messy middle, right? You don't have to be the polished, perfect, everything's all put together. Like the messy middle is where life happens, and for whatever reason, Instagram, all of this stuff, we have forgotten the fact that life is not Instagram reels. Life is the muck and the mire that happens in between those little highlight moments that we choose to share.
It's true. And most of our clients, they've achieved so much. And what can happen is the more you achieve and the bigger your list is of accomplishments in your resume, you do start buying into this thing like everything I put out there is a reflection on me and my reputation. And so everything just has to be so perfect and polished. And I
Right.
remember one time we had an author, this was early on, maybe our first collaboration book, and she was in an absolute panic because
Mm,
there was a typo in her chapter. And she's like, oh, what are people going to think? And they're not going to hire me and they're going to think I'm not professional and capable. And I
mhm.
was like, oh, wow. Right. Like,
Yeah,
oh,
right.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
Like, no matter what, at the end of the day, we're all human beings. And it's like,
sure.
if no one is allowed to be human, I mean, I have a
Right.
client who reminds me of this. A
Mhm.
year and a half ago, I was going through this, right? And also the more visible you are, the bigger you go online,
Okay.
we all know how the internet is, right? Like
Hmm.
people, there's trolls. Trolls are
Yep.
among us. And I remember she was like, Monique, you're allowed to be human. You're allowed
Right.
to be human because the minute you get in this space of everything has to be perfect and everything has to be executed flawlessly,
Mhm.
you are a prisoner of your own life, and it's horrible.
Wow. Wow. I think another one, and this is maybe this is something I tell myself, but I've read, plenty of things on this idea, is that we tend to buy into this spotlight effect is that everyone's going to think more of this error or this whatever than they really do. I mean, they
Yeah.
might notice it. They're like, oh, Monique forgot that comment there, whatever. And then we move on with life. And I will not out this person because they might listen to this and I might get in trouble later. But I know many people, and I've fallen into this as well, is that we agonize over small mistakes. We agonize thinking that people are going to just rail on us and just think so much differently than us and whatever. And the reality is that one, they probably don't even recognize it or see it. And two, if they do, they're like, oh, whatever. And then they move on with life. Yet we are stuck in this space of like, oh my gosh, what the heck? Why did you do this? You're so stupid. And then it's like this negative thing. And anyways, maybe a little bit of a picture into
It's
my world. But I mean,
true.
do you see that elsewhere as well?
Oh, big time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, perfectionism is what, you know, it is what every overachiever lives with is
Mm.
perfectionism. Yeah.
Hmm.
And my husband, he's like my ongoing, life coach, business coach, all things. And
Hmm.
I remember one time he was like, don't clean up any of your typos. He goes, if people are that bent on it, then they
Hmm.
don't need to be your client. If you can't laugh at yourself and you can't let things fly, he was like, Monique, that just it's like it's not worth it.
Hmm. Right.
And that's the biggest thing is like you have in business, it's so easy to get caught up in things, but really, why do I have a business? Because I want a certain kind of
Mhm.
life. And if
Yes.
I'm not having this kind of life, if it doesn't feel like this every single day, then
Hmm.
I gotta, step back and look at some things. Like
Yeah.
this has got a little out of hand. It's got a little too serious.
Right.
And oh my gosh, every single thing, like you said, it's too big.
Hmm.
If all of this could unravel me, then I really need to pause.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. So, somewhat of a segue on this one. What is you've worked with so many successful people. You are very successful. What is something that you used to believe about success, but now that you're a little bit further down on your journey that you no longer ascribe to?
Oh gosh.
What do you
So
want to do a book
many
on this one?
things. Okay, well, I might just rattle them off, right?
Okay, go for it. I'll try my best to keep up here. Go for it.
Okay, so rich and successful people have lots of problems, you know?
Okay.
Money solves a lot of problems, but they actually have more problems than anybody, you
Mm,
know? Um, you're human, and yet
mm,
most people won't let you be human. Yeah, other
ooh,
people don't see you as human. I used to think that as long as you did everything with like a good heart and with integrity, that all would go well with you.
mm,
That is not true.
okay.
Unfortunately, there's jackholes in the world. You'll
Hmm.
meet some jack wagons the further you go.
Hmm.
I used to think, I used to think, this is going to be a big one. This is just the honest to God, cross my heart truth.
Okay.
I used to think that money was an expander. Okay. And in
Ooh,
a
okay.
lot of ways it is. But what I will tell you is it can also go the other way. It can be
Hmm.
incredibly isolating. It can shut your world down because the more money you make and the more success you have and the more you are out there, the less people will understand you. Your
Mm,
circle gets smaller, your
right.
where what you can do and where you can go and like there's just certain things that change
Hmm.
and you didn't see it coming.
Yeah, I can completely relate to that. All of these, I think these kind of are linked together, right? People think, oh,
Yes.
if you have money, then you don't have any problems. Well, it's different problems, and to your point, it sometimes it's more challenging things because then if you have people relying on you, then there's the pressure of that. And I mean, I'm there with you. And this idea is that, um, yeah, it does not solve all the problems, and in many cases, it just complicates things. So I love it. Very good. Any other, life lessons here you want to drop on us as far as like being successful, common misconceptions? These are really good.
I what I would say is it's easy to think that people like when we view people and we're like, oh, they've made it or they have it all,
Right.
to think that it's easy to think that they don't need anything.
Mm, okay. Right.
And that is absolutely not the case. And what happens, what I've observed is that when we believe someone for any reason that they don't need something, it's easy to justify treating them in a certain way. Okay.
Mm,
And so what I am always ready to talk about is
mm,
however you perceive people, whatever you
mhm,
think, whatever world you think they're living in, like
mm.
everyone could always use encouragement,
Okay.
support,
Yeah.
kindness,
Right.
just being just basic interactions that are,
Sure.
decent, right?
Right.
Because I think that what happens I mean, this you see this in person and on the internet.
Mhm.
People will justify their behavior because they're like, well,
Mm.
she's got it,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Right. So therefore, it's
And
okay to treat her like crap.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's just, I saw an influencer on Facebook recently go through this. Amy Jackson, she makes so much money on
Hmm.
Facebook, and she had actually decided she was going to teach it for free on
Okay.
certain days. Anyway, she got so insanely attacked because she said she was going to teach how to monetize your account for free.
Hmm. Hmm.
And what she said is that when you forget that the person on the screen has kids that are hungry in the background, they have an electric bill, they have parents that they
Yeah.
may or may not get
Right.
along with, that the neighbor is being a jackal, like
Right.
you still have to come down to that level.
Right.
Like we all put our pants on one leg at a time,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And it's so interesting, to sort of keep that perspective, you know?
Mm,
So it's like I find myself, I'm always expanding, but I'm also
mm.
always grounding,
Yeah.
'cause you need both.
Right. No, I love that. So let's shift into that because I feel like that's a good transition there. So you're one of the many things that you do is that you help teach people how to network like the rich, and then I'm sure you were very, very thoughtful of this. Even that title, some people are going to be turned on and turned off about that. I'm sure. I know know you well enough to know that that was purposeful, right? So
Yes.
what does that actually mean? Because I think again, just network like they're rich. Some people are going in a very positive direction. Some might go in a very negative direction. What does that mean to you, and why do you think that's such an important skill to have at this point?
So networking like the rich means that you leave everyone better than you found them.
Okay.
Okay. And this is very fascinating because there's a lot of negative press for rich people, right? There's lots of
Hmm.
movies and the rich person and the rich character is the bad guy, right? I
Yes.
get it.
Yes.
100% of rich people aren't good, but also 100% of rich people aren't bad either, right?
Right. Yep.
So the key with networking like the rich, they don't ever waste time. Okay. The more
Okay.
money someone has, the less willing they are to waste time. They
Okay.
understand that's actually their most valuable thing. They can
Right.
always make more money. Their money's making them money. They
Right.
don't even need to make more money, right? But they're so driven. But then time becomes the key. So it's like I leave you better than I found you. I don't
Okay.
waste time. And if I can help you, I'm going to find a way to do it in the most effective, efficient way possible. And that's what it basically comes down to because when you network traditionally, it's like, oh, well, let's get to know each other over years and lots of long and drawn out conversations.
Hmm.
And then we
Right.
both feel a little bit of guilt about going, hey, let's nail
Hmm.
this down. How much are you getting? What's the split? What are we promoting? How much are we going to make?
Right.
What makes it worth it for you? What makes it worth it for me? And the thing is we all care about that. Nobody wants to spend time on anything that doesn't feel like there was some sort of fruit from it, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes we're just taught like it's bad to say that.
Yes. Right. No, I completely agree. And I think that there is, and I'm sure you talk about this a lot in your courses and working with clients, is so much of this is a mindset.
Oh,
And you have to break through this idea of being bottom line up front is not a bad thing. I mean, yes, you care about them. Yes, you need to get to know them, but you can get to know somebody while you're working towards the end of a goal. It doesn't have to be this, awkward small talk conversation for, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. At some point, like you're here for a reason, I'm here for a reason. Let's figure out what that is. And I always joke, let's see if you know this one. WIIFM. Do you know what that one stands for?
no.
So it's everybody's favorite radio station.
Oh,
What's
what's in
in
it
it
for me?
for me?
Yes,
Exactly,
yes.
right? And I joke about that when I do my classes and this kind of stuff, and people are like, "Oh, ho, ho," and but I'm like, "Okay, but pause. Like, let's be realistic. You're not here for me. I appreciate that you're here for me. You're here for something for your benefit. I am here for something for my benefit. The great thing about this is that we can find things that are going to be mutually beneficial, right? It's a win-win-win, right? I'm winning, you're winning, we're helping other people win. Like that's the ultimate. Let's just cut to the chase and go to that rather than kind of pussyfooting around and like, oh, well, I don't want to
Yes.
ask for this or that, you know?
It's okay. So let me tell you a story. So over
Okay.
the weekend, my cousin came over and we were making my grandma's candy, and she brought her two little kids, 2 and 5. Okay.
Okay.
They walk in straight in the door, stand right here. They go, do you have Paw Patrol? And do you have chocolate? I said, I'm not sure about Paw Patrol. I definitely have chocolate.
Yeah.
They're like, right. And I love how
Yeah.
toddlers can get right to it. Lady, do you have Paw Patrol or chocolate? Because if you don't, I'm out, right?
Yeah, right, right. This is not worth my time at this point. I
And it's
love it.
like, if we could just be like that, like, listen, I've
Yeah.
got this. Can you help
Mhm.
me with it or not? It's
Right.
cool. Like, I'm cool either way.
Yeah. Right.
I just don't like wasting a lot of time to figure
Mhm.
out this isn't a fit. So yeah, this is the key is relationships are important, and the wealthy
Mhm.
value relationships and
Mhm.
circles and communities and these rooms and tables that everybody wants to be invited to. But also at the same time, they're very intentional. And when
Mhm.
we learn how to be intentional, people think that somehow like that maybe this, like you said, this mindset or this thing in living in their head is like, well, that means you care less about the relationship.
Yeah.
No, this isn't using people. We're not talking about
Right.
using people.
Correct.
It's about both of us figuring out what you want, what I want. Can we get there together? Yes
Yes.
or no? And being
Yep.
honest
Yep.
about it.
Yeah. Can we get there together? That's really that is the crux to the issue. And if people were honest when they're regardless, and I mean, I think this carries over so many different things, and that's why I love conversations like this and the work that I'm doing with my coaches that you can learn something in a business setting that, especially when it comes around communication, that correlates and translates and improves your personal relationships and improves your networking and improves you know what I'm saying? It's just it translates over everything. So, can we help each other? And if so, what's the best, most efficient way to do that? There we go, right?
There we go. Then let's do it.
Exactly.
And if I can't, if I'm not the person, I might be able to introduce you to somebody else who
Yeah.
can. And I've learned it's just better to get this out, figure it out, do it quickly because if I can help you, I'll help you. And if I can't, I mean, why would I sit here and pretend that I can
Yeah.
for 6 more months, you know?
Correct. 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 And again, that's back to the idea of like, um, and again, it's a communication thing. Like there's one thing that's like these are the words that I'm saying, but is communication goes both ways, right? I could say the right script or whatever we want to call that, but if that's not the message that's being received, doesn't really matter what it is, right? So um walking that fine line of being a good communicator in doing this where it's not coming across as being abrupt or whatever, but I'm thinking like in my conversations with folks is like, I honor your time. Like you're busy,
Yes.
I'm busy. Can we help each other? If so, let's figure that out. And if not, to your point, I would love to connect you with somebody else that can. And if not, we're not wasting a bunch of time figuring, just trying to be nice. I think that's really what it boils down to.
Trying to
People.
be nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's the enemy of so much.
Hmm.
I have
Right.
learned that now I just go, Andy, I know you're a good person. I know I'm a good person. So that's not up for debate. Okay.
Right.
I know you're nice. I know I'm nice. Okay. So let's put that right over there.
Right. Right.
Now, because it is true. And we all like, some of us have more of a slant toward this than others. Small town people have a big, there's
Yes, we
some of
do.
us were taught to be nice and
Yeah.
polite and
Hmm.
it can really create a lot of chaos actually in
Hmm.
relationships and business. And so, yeah, it's true.
No.
We don't have to be those things.
Right.
We can let each other off the hook.
I love it. I love it. All right, very good. Well, my goodness. I kind of want this to last a lot longer than what we probably should because I know people's attention spans. Well, we're what we just talked about, right? We want to honor people's time, so we're going to keep it tight and to the point here. Um, you've mentioned, you talk about your family all the time, which I love, and I know that is because you are authentic, genuine. You are not leveraging. That is just this is all of me. I am a businesswoman. I am a wife. I am a mom. All of those things together, and I can live um, as a complete human being. It's not I have to silo this and that. So kudos to you for emulating and showing that to other people because I think a lot of folks, I'm obviously not a woman, but I'm sure a lot of moms out there feel like they have to put that to the side. So I just wanted to say that I see that and I honor that. I think that's a really, really cool thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
You
I
bet.
appreciate that.
Yeah. So to that end, 20 years down the road, your boys are writing your bio. What are they going to say about their mom?
Mm. I don't think it's going to be that different than the birthday cards I got. So my birthday was
Okay.
on Friday,
I love it.
and
Happy
this is
birthday.
what it said. Thank you. Mom, thank you so much for making me good food and teaching me how to cook and
Mhm.
for taking me to do fun things. That's what it's always going to come down to.
That's a win right there, right?
It's a win.
It doesn't get much better than that. I love that. Very good. And remind me your boy's age again. I think they're pretty close to mine, or maybe a little
Yeah.
bit younger.
Yeah. So they're going to be 11 and 12 next
Okay.
month.
Okay, gotcha. So a little bit younger. So again, we'll have to continue to have the conversation and compare notes because we're in that phase now where it's like, okay, now they're transitioning into adulthood, and that's a whole new adventure in and of itself. But every phase is the best. We just love our
So
kiddos,
true.
don't we?
So true.
Good
It
stuff.
is. We get to grow right alongside them.
Absolutely. That would be, I guess, just for, if kids are watching this, just understand this is the first time we've done this too. So be a little patient with us as we're trying to figure it out, right?
We actually don't really know what we're doing.
No, we
We're
don't.
trying really
Yes, we
hard.
are. Oh my gosh. That's so true. That's so true. All right, Monique. Well, if we can, let's transition to our three key questions. This has been an absolute joy. I have had lots of conversations, but this has been probably the most just compact, just bullet point after bullet point. Great, great stuff. So thank you very, very much. Let's end with a bang here. Who is a leader that you most admire and try to emulate?
That would be my grandma Ruth. So
Okay.
she was a mother, a grandma, a business owner, and she was grace under fire. I mean, looking back, I don't know how she pulled it all off and, was crocheting in the corner as well in the evening. So she held her values very strong. She was a woman who stood by her values, and she accomplished more than she ever thought she would.
I love that. Very good. Very good. All right. Question number two for you. What learning, I'm sure you are a lifelong learner, what learning has most impacted you in the last year?
Oh, this year, there was a lot of learning. I have been overhauling our property. So we bought
Hmm.
my grandparents' property. So we have five
Okay.
and a half acres. We have a house. We have three garages and
Mhm.
outbuildings and all the things.
Right.
And what I realized we did this year is we took my grandparents' life and all of the stuff that comes along with that.
Mm.
And we moved it on to other homes and whatnot. And so what I learned this year is the value of letting go,
Wow.
the power of letting go. I come from family that they're pioneers, they're builders, right? And so it's sort of the opposite of what they
Yeah.
spent so many years doing. And when I first started, it felt a little bizarre and it felt
Mhm.
strange and it
Right.
felt almost wrong. And
Sure.
then I realized every time I let go of something, it made room for something new.
Mhm.
And I would say there was this moment in August. I mean, this we have been doing yard sales and, marketplace and dump
Mhm.
runs. And I mean,
Mhm.
there's been so much of this. And in
Mhm.
August, I felt this turning point and I could feel all the stuff that was moving into our life and all this new direction.
Mhm.
Endings are hard, goodbyes are hard, but what I really learned this year is it's the only way to have a start.
Yeah. Wow. I love that. Wow. That's very good. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's very, very profound. All right, last question for you. Like the name of the podcast implies, how would you empower learning for future generations? I know you're doing this on multiple levels, right? You got your boys, you got your clients, your communities, this kind of stuff. What are you doing to empower learning for future generations?
Number one thing I'm doing is I'm cooking at least two meals every day around a table and having
Oh,
conversations.
I love that. I love that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
So, number one, I want my kids to know what real food is, where it comes from, how to cook it. And meals are sacred. This isn't something you run
Hmm.
out the door, you don't eat in the car, you don't eat at the
Right.
desk, you don't. And when you have a meal, right alongside it, doesn't exist without it. With meals, there's conversation, there's
Mm.
connection, there's traditions, there's wisdom,
Right.
there's laughter. This I want to be part of their life forever. I want this to be so insanely ingrained in them. And what I find too is the more I do this, the more, I mean, talk about nonstop inspiration for content and trainings, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
it's a microcosm.
Yeah, it is. It is. I love it. Very good. Do you have a number two? I don't want to leave anybody hanging. If there's more to share, that's a great walk off right there.
Well, I think that is the heart and soul of
Okay,
what I believe in.
I love that because that does tie back to whether they're rich or not, right? We are still networking. We are connecting with people the way that we want to be connected with, if we're being honest, right? And making the relationship the core and the principal thing that we're working on. Yeah.
Definitely.
I love it. Monique, anything that you'd like to share with folks as far as ways that they can connect with you if they're interested in finding out more and just having conversations with what you're doing? How can they find you, and what do you suggest that they do to start that conversation?
Well, you can. come friend me or follow me on Facebook. I'm on
Okay.
there every single day, and same thing, having
Mhm.
conversations there. And then if you go to networkliketherich.com, you can see we have a 12-day networking challenge and all kinds of other fun things to help cultivate this ability to honor relationships, to refine communication, and to figure out how to build greater opportunities for the people you with the people you already know.
Right. Right. I love it. I love it. Well, this has been an absolute pleasure. I thank you so much for your time and for your wisdom and for your heart. I can't wait to see what's next in everything that you're doing, and I'm sure I will be following along as we do it. So thanks again, Monique. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right.
This conversation with Monique is such a powerful reminder that growth isn't accidental, it's intentional. Whether it's leadership in your home, your work, or your personal life, the work always starts within. If today's episode challenged or encouraged you, please share it with someone who might be navigating their own season of growth. And as always, be sure to subscribe to the Empowered Learning Podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading with purpose.